Well, hello there, everybody, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of Two Sons Podcast. I am your co-host, Philip, and I am so happy to be able to tell our lovely audience today that we have a special guest. Yes, if you do not remember who this lovely person is to next to me on the screen, whichever way this lays out, either my left or right, I have with me the one, the only, the founder of Two Sons Podcast, the man, the myth, the legend behind the podcast. Notebooks full of materials and ideas, came up with the logo, came up with the name, the one, the only, my lovely brother. Give it up for the host of Two Sons Podcast. Everybody, Joseph Kruba, round of applause. Round of applause.
Thank you for that riveting. Thank you for that riveting. Yeah, I figured I was rusty. Thank you for that riveting introduction right there. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am back and better than ever. Just kidding, I'm not better than better than. What was that? Okay, I'm not better than ever, but I am back nonetheless, and I'm very excited to be back for another episode of Lovely Two Sons Podcast. Yes, we are. It's a dog. Yes, we are back to. I just saw like a white blob walk by, and I'm like, "Is that the Indominus Rex?" I've been on a Jurassic kick lately, so I'm into dinosaurs again. I mean, it never left, but whatever, get on with it. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is I, it is us, it is we, it is how, it is when, it is where, and it is why. And why are you here today to listen to another episode of Two Sons Podcast, especially to listen to our continuation of our Bad Batch series, mini-series, and our series of the podcast series for your viewing pleasures. We are on episode 14 today of the Bad Batch, and we are nearing the end of the season. I believe me and my brother were just talking about this, saying the end of the season is very near, possibly next week. If that's the case, what a run it has been. But besides that being said, we have some very interesting content in for you guys, and we have a very interesting episode to talk about, and can't wait to get into it a little further on now. But just in good old Two Sons Podcast fashion, let's do a little discussion on how we doing today. And since my brother started it off, I might as well bounce back at him and ask him how he's doing again today. What even logo hat is that? Is that a Dodgers hat?
Well, according
White Sox.
According to my store, it's from Death Note.
Oh, okay. Well, I really thought that was a White Sox hat for some reason.
I haven't watched Death Note, but I just like the color black, and it's a cool hat. So
it's black and mysterious, just like Night Fury.
Like me, yeah.
This is Night Fury. He's black and mysterious. He also makes sounds. Hold on. What the fuck? Oh, there he is.
Oh my god, he made a sound.
He's got wings, and he's even got his cool little tail that remember broke. Okay. Besides the fact.
Good callback. Good callback. Great movie, by the way. Great movie.
Yes, thank you.
I'm doing pretty good. It is, of course, lovely to be back with my one and only brother, with our favorite Two Sons podcast. So it's been kind of lonely these last couple of weeks just by myself. But it's nice that I have somebody else across the screen now. So now I just don't talk to myself and just kind of feel weird talking to myself. So, quick tangent. If you haven't watched the most recent episode, Joey, I got a comment on one of the YouTube shorts that I posted about the episode, basically calling me a virgin.
Calling you a what?
A virgin.
Why?
Because I took a clip from the episode just to put on YouTube Shorts to tell people oh, hey, come check out our episode. And some guy commented, he's like, tell me that you're a virgin without telling me that you're a virgin. And I was like, okay.
Well, you know what? You're the virgin because you interacted in our podcast. So either way, whatever gets us clicks, gets us views.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, I deleted this comment, but I was just like, kind of funny because obviously this came across your YouTube. First of all, you're scrolling on YouTube Shorts.
Yeah, and and obviously you felt the need to comment,
I mean, yeah, and then obviously the hashtags brought you to our podcast, and you had the audacity to comment on our podcast. And
sounds like you got a little crush on my brother. Sounds like you're the virgin. Maybe you want your first time to be with him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm flattered, but I unfortunately I just don't swing that
way. Yeah, we ain't giving it up to somebody like you. Get out of here.
And they didn't even have a picture in their profile. It was just their name. It was just their actual name is their profile, and then their
actual name. Okay.
The actual profile page had their first initial because they just had no picture. So it's
what?
All right,
All right, bud.
I mean, hey, that's interaction. So I mean, but
I guess some sort of, it seems like the only interactions we've got are Zack Snyder fanboys and people liking to comment on what we do on our sexual desires. So, like, you know what?
tell you, sir, that I am not a virgin. Okay,
Exactly. Yeah.
I've had a sexual intercourse. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that's more than you could say, nerd.
yeah, nerd. Yeah, yeah, fist bump.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm doing pretty good. So for those of you that don't know, I'll obviously catch my brother up. I officially finished school, so my spring semester is done. So thank
Yay,
you. Uh,
school.
I have one more final to take, and then I'll officially be done. And then I start my wonderful journey of having a couple of months off until I start my lovely program in the fall. For those of you
Very
that
nice.
didn't get a chance to listen to last episode or whatever, I'm moving on from the University of South Florida. I
Woohoo!
enjoyed my time there, but it is time that I spread my wings once again. And I was recently accepted into Southern New Hampshire University, and I'm going to be going to school online for a master's degree in history, more
Yay.
specifically, a concentration in military history. So that doesn't
Yeah.
start until October. So I have a
Go
couple of months
weapons.
to kind of relax and make some money and work and stuff like that. So that'll be nice until I start up. But yeah, I just got one more thing to do for this semester, and then I am done. Work is going pretty good as always. Gotten a couple of raises. In the last couple of weeks, so that's been nice. It's been
I
appreciated.
can't say the same.
I'll be making $14 an hour starting in May.
Oh boy,
Yeah,
that's that's like double the federal minimum wage. That's
yeah,
sick.
yeah. Really, yeah. I'm really getting somewhere. Yeah,
Really living it.
I'm making moves. But
Nice.
yeah, I mean, it's been pretty good. Besides a couple things that just continue to piss me off, but it is what it is. Um, but yeah, overall pretty good. Excited that the week is pretty much almost over, and yeah, I mean, hockey's been on, so I mean, I've been enjoying a lot of hockey. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just hockey. I mean, go Panthers, yeah, because I'm rooting for the Florida Panthers. So
Oh, West
they're
Bay
playing
Panthers.
against
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, which is kind of like you know, it's kind of weird that the two Florida teams are facing off in the first rounds, but like
I didn't even know there was
at
two
the end of the
Florida
day,
teams.
at
Oh,
least the
Tampa.
Florida team is moving on. So it's like regardless who
Panthers is
wins the
cool.
series, like the Florida team is moving on. So, but yeah, so if you have anybody that you're supporting in the playoffs, best of luck, and yeah, so that's pretty much. Oh, I've been on a big Fallout kick lately. If any
Yeah.
of you have checked out the new Fallout series, it is absolutely phenomenal. Highly recommend. I would definitely like to do some episodes on it. So if my brother doesn't end
It's
up
on
watching it,
Prime, right?
probably, yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out at
I'll
some point
do some
because
episodes on it just because I think it would be a fun series to talk about. But yeah, I'm on a pretty big Fallout kick lately in my free time. So yeah, but otherwise I'm doing pretty good. Excited to talk about some good old Star Wars and be back with my hermano. That's Spanish for brother. If none of you are bilingual out there, just kind
nice.
of throwing out there. High school Spanish. Am I right? Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, now I turn it over to you, my lovely brother, and why don't you tell the people, where you've been for the last couple of weeks and what you've been up to? Because I'm sure they're wondering what our wonderful host has been up to.
Yeah, my life has been exciting. What's it called? I've been just doing, I've been doing some things. One of my most recent things is I've gone back to my tattoo artist to continue on making my left arm a whole sleeve. I already have, the bottom part all Star Wars out and stuff. And the upper part's gonna be like basically just cool ass monsters, as in Kong and Godzilla, and then the rest is going to be dinosaurs in Jurassic Park because that's cool, and I like that stuff. So I have Kong right now. That's a Peter Jackson 2005 Kong. So I got that done last week. I'm going back this Monday to probably get Godzilla next or the dinosaurs. I'm not really sure. It's going to take probably another 3 sessions to fully finish. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish that like before the summer or if it's going to take me longer because it's a lot of money. So we'll see. So I've been doing that. Um, I've been looking for other jobs and doing a lot more of that stuff. I've been trying to see if I can get more hours at work, trying to implement some things, seeing if I could even do something more there. Um, and trying to make connections here and there. So I've been doing a lot of stuff. I planned a vacation down to Florida for June. So me and my girlfriend are going down there. We're not staying in Disney because it's real expensive, but we are Airbnb in, and we're going to the parks every day and going to some other places. So it should be nice. It's been a long year, and it's like the first time I planned something completely by myself and doing all of that. So it's fun to try something new and start there. So I'm excited for that. I got a new tank for one of my turtles because she keeps on growing, and I got two new filters, and I can't figure out how they work. So if anybody knows how like those pump filters work, the big pumps that have like the connecting air hoses, that would be great because I just genuinely don't understand, and it costed me like over $100 for both of them. So I'm not thrilled if they don't work. Um, and what else? I got some new posters over there. I'm pretty sure I switched that since the last time you saw me. I actually went back to my theater for a little bit. Unfortunately, not a lot of people were there, so I couldn't stay long. But I got to see some new things. I got to get the Godzilla X Kong poster, which I was really excited, and Planet of the Apes. Those are the two I really wanted. So I'm excited for that. I've been on a Jurassic World and Park kick lately. I want to go back and watch all the movies, and everything. Even Dominion. I want to really talk about them and stuff, and do more with that here. Try to get more episodes like flowing, every other day or something, even if it's solos for me and my brother. Speaking of that, we are actually past 80 episodes now on this podcast, so we are nearing 100 very, very soon. And depending on how many episodes we do, huh?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I could have swore you did. We'll probably hit 100 by the summer, so that'll be really cool. Because I remember we just did our 50th episode special not too long ago. So the fact that we're already pretty much to 100 is crazy to me. I guarantee by the end of May we might be to 90 or something. So come June, July, we're hope maybe even end of June we'll be at 100. So that'll be awesome. And there's a lot of stuff we want to talk about. A lot more Star Wars content is still coming out. We got uh, another show in the works, but it's set to release I think in June. My brother said Tales of the Empire, and then we got what the heck is it called?
You have Acolyte, I think, also
Yes,
coming out recently.
Acolyte coming out. We got I'm pretty sure Star Wars Outlaws. That game is set to come out soon.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still a good amount of projects in the works and stuff. So we'll see. I know Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon, the second part came out. I heard it was horrendous. I don't know. Zack Snyder, fanboy that commented on our post. Let us know what you think of his recent movies. I'm assuming you watched them. I love some of Zack Snyder's movies, and he's had a couple of bangers, but it seems lately he needs to direct and not really write because it seems like he's better at directing than writing. I think that's the problem with these past two films. If they're on Netflix, I'll watch them at some point, but I heard the story's not there and it's just a lot of slow mo. And I love slow mo, but it kind of kills me. It killed me in like the Justice League movie, especially considering that was 4 hours long. It was like brutal at some points because I'm like, can we just like get through it? Like, I love seeing Wonder Woman like beat a bunch of guys' asses, but like it gets to a point, when I can listen to like, some weird Amazonian opera for 5 minutes straight while she's still swinging that lasso over her head. It hasn't even gone past, her shoulder yet. Like, can we just, get it forward?
Uh,
So, and fun fact, apparently the lead actress in that was actually the Mummy and the Mummy reboot with like Tom Cruise from like 2017 or 2018.
Interesting.
She was something else. Like, long story short, she hasn't really been in very popular movies, unfortunately, and they said that's hurting her career. But maybe we'll talk about that later on. But we are here for the Bad Batch, and I gotta say that this season of the Bad Batch has probably been like, again, I think it's been the best so far, and it's been one of the most enjoyable like Star Wars projects I've seen in a while. Like it is on par with a lot of the other Star Wars animated shows. Like, and depending on how the season ends, like I think Bad Batch is way too overshadowed, and a lot of people really don't hype it up enough. The last time people really hyped this up was during the last season of The Mandalorian, only because they both came out at the same time, and a lot of people said season 2 of The Bad Batch was better than that. But they were only comparing it to The Mandalorian. They were never talking about it standalone. And I just think it's definitely been one of the best. And this is the last time you'll really. But I mean, you have Tales of the Empire, but this is kind of the last time you'll get those Clone War hanging on. Still, you still hope for some Clone War stuff, and everything. But with that being said, why don't we start and we'll get out of the way where you can find us, just so you don't have to wait until the end of the episode, but you should because you love us. As you know, we are Two Sons Podcast, all under uh, we are Two Sons Podcast. That is sons with an O, not a U, because we are two brothers. I was gonna say we're Two Sons Podcast because we're Two Sons Podcast, and I was like that doesn't make sense.
I mean,
Um,
that's correct. That's valid.
But you can find us all on Two Sons Podcast. That is Sons with an O, not a U, because we are two brothers. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and X, previously known as Twitter. We are also on TikTok and YouTube, all under Two Sons Podcast and Two Sons YouTube. Check it out on there. Like my brother said, we have shorts going on. We have our videos going on. I believe the YouTube is doing well. The Spotify has been doing pretty consistent too. Seems like you guys like when we both talk about the Bad Batch, because our last Bad Batch episode with the two of us was one of our better episodes, pretty much mid to top tier in our listener rankings and stuff. So seems like you guys definitely seem to enjoy that. So please check it out. And let's get into who. Let's get into a question of the
Okay.
Bad Batch.
Okay.
Now, remember how I said that we're going to do like an MVP or just something about the Bad Batch or something about whatever we're talking about, and then we'll answer that question. So here, I think we should talk about something in the episode. So
Okay.
spoilers ahead in case you guys have not seen the Bad Batch or in case you don't really know what's going on with the story. We suggest catching up and coming back to listen to us talk about it and listen to our other episodes. But do you think, with the way Omega's character has been developing, do you think by the time we get to that final episode, are we going to see some sort of sense of force ability within her? Are we going to get a hint at that? Are we going to get a nod at that? Is there going to be a situation where one of the Bad Batch members is on the verge of dying and we're going to see some Omega level threat
I
and
said
have her
you there.
have
Yeah.
her possibly connect? Are we going to see, like I said before, how I said the Zillo Beast is going to play a factor? Are we going to see her connect with the Zillo Beast like Asajj Ventress did in those other episodes? I don't know. What do we think?
Well, now that you said that she's going to connect with the Zillo Beast like Asajj did with that other creature, I would put money on it that that's going to
I
happen.
immediately thought of that. I was like,
As soon as you said that, I was like, son of a bitch. I was like, you're probably right.
I don't know. I hope not.
If we're answering this question now, are we answering this question now?
Yeah, get it out of the way.
If you want my answer, honestly, I would say no, and I say I hope not, because here's the thing, right? The Bad Batch is finishing up next week on May 1st, which is Wednesday. Okay, so most
Right.
likely they're gonna do like that 2 episode finale, or just like one big long episode. I forgot if it was 15 or 16 episodes in total. I mean, all the other seasons
I
have
thought
been
it was 16, so I feel like this still
yeah.
going
I
to
mean, I
slow
don't
down.
see why it wouldn't be 16 because all the other episodes are 16.
Yeah, let me look it up real quick
Or
while you're
all the
talking.
other seasons are 16 because I checked the other day and season 1 and season 2 was 16. But regardless, I mean, we know that the show is wrapping up on May the 1st.
We are. It just says 15 episodes,
Huh.
which is
Yeah, so
weird.
maybe they're giving us like super. I mean, I really hope it's a longer episode. I mean, I hope it's like 45 minutes to an hour. I mean, for the finale of the show, it deserves to have that runtime.
All that
This
it says is the cavalry has arrived and coming
And what's
on May
funny is
1st.
that I saw a TikTok saying that when we first meet the Bad Batch in Clone Wars, that is the catchphrase that Wrecker says when we're first introduced to the Bad Batch.
Yeah, that
Apparently,
is the
apparently,
first.
he has a line saying the cavalry has arrived. So it's a little ode to the beginnings of the Bad Batch. So you know it's probably going to be a sad episode.
I have a feeling. I want to see if I can find a like how long the episode's gonna be, but it's not saying. It's not. It doesn't even have like anything. It just says written by, releasing May 1st, blah 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 blah. So I'm not sure. I got a feeling because I'm pretty sure the other ones, like final episodes, were close to an hour, and since this is the last season, I expect it to be at least an hour or more finale, just because I feel like there's still a lot to be said. I didn't realize it was ending next week. I thought we had 2 more weeks. Since it's ending next week, um, I there's still some stuff that like I wanted to see that I haven't seen yet. So I'm hoping we see it next week. But I'll let you get back to your Omega talk.
Uh, yeah. Sorry, I'm just sorry. Just give me 1 second.
We're Costco guys. A double chocolate cookie. See, that just shows like they
Yeah.
keep failing.
So based on like just how the season has been like progressing and like how like the story has been going throughout these couple of episodes, honestly I hope not. I really hope that we do not see anything force sensitive or forceability wise with Omega. Besides the couple of tests that Asajj Ventress put her through, that's it. That's all we've seen through her this entire season. And unfortunately, the thing is, I could totally see them pulling like something like that, especially if it's like a connection to the Zillow Beast, because we already saw how easy it was for her to connect with Batcher, right? But they did that
Mm.
like more like a gradual sense. Like I don't think she really
Yeah,
used any like force
that was
abilities
more
or anything. Like,
natural,
yeah, it was more natural. Like she took care of it. Like she treated it medically. Like she gave it food.
and it
Like
was over
she did
time.
all
It
through it.
wasn't
Like
just like that, you know.
yeah, exactly. Like, basically like how you would like in real life.
Hmm.
Um, so unfortunately, I could see them doing exactly what you said. I could totally see her like connecting with the Zillow Beast and like setting it free and basically causing like mayhem on Mount Tantiss. But if that happens, honestly, I'm gonna be very disappointed. I mean, it will probably look really cool, but I'm gonna be disappointed because again, we're just playing on the same tropes that we saw with the Ahsoka show and what they did with Sabine. And it's like you're gonna tell me that this child just found out that they could possibly be force sensitive, and then now all of a
Yeah,
sudden they're like, "Yeah, I can connect to this animal. Watch this," and then she just like goes like this, and then just connects to like, and we're not talking about like a dog, right? We're talking about the freaking Zillow Beast. Okay, I mean like this is not comparing apples to oranges. This is like
yeah,
comparing a orange to a fucking cantaloupe or something like that. I mean this. I was trying to find a good fruit analogy. I couldn't really think of a good fruit
well,
analogy.
you know what I'm thinking, because
So
we obviously,
my answer is basically no. I don't wish to see Omega use any of her force. If she and the thing is, we don't even know if she has any,
yeah, we
right? Like,
just know she has a high M count.
was
Other than
Asajj
that, there's
like
been no sign that
was
she can actually use the force.
like was Asajj Ventress lying? Like, does she have a high midichlorian account? Like, do we even know? Like, obviously we know
She
she.
does. They
Obviously,
said that.
oh, okay. So like, all right. So we know that
That's
she has.
all we know, though. That's all
Yeah,
we know.
that's all we know. So it's like no. Like, I mean, just that's my answer. No.
Okay, so what I was just thinking about, I'll give you my answer in a sec, but what I was just thinking about is that we still have those four. I mean, really, one's useless because he's like still a baby. But we have those four other kids that obviously have high M counts as well, but we've yet to see any of them actually use any sort of sensitive force yet. So I do wonder if they're going to also play a part in the next episode, some way, somehow, using the force, to control something, or that would make more sense to me than having Omega do something like that. And I really feel if they did that, it would ruin and I know a lot of people might be saying like it's not the biggest deal, but this would be a perfect season to me if it just ended without any sense of that. Keep it at the high end count because of some weird reason and have it close at that. Do I think she's going to use the force? I don't. I feel like we're still going to get some sort of hint that like we know it might be possible for her. Like it some way somehow they might show it in a weird way, but I don't think they would pull that. Maybe they'll end it in a way where it can be explored in a future project if they wish to. But for now, it would be too OP in my opinion, and I
Like,
don't
I
want it
mean,
to come
I
easy.
think it would make sense, to be honest. Like, if her and the kids were able to escape the vault, right, and
Mhm.
they ended up with the Zill Beast. If they all had to combine their powers to connect with the Zill Beast, that would make total sense.
I could see that happening. I would rather if they used any sort of force compatibility or whatever, and they did that, I would not be upset. But any alone thing, I don't want to see because I think it's too easy of a cop out because this has been a very, very, very high stakes season for the Bad Batch. I mean, I think every season was always high stakes, but this one is like I really have a feeling they're not all making it out. I mean, again, I really don't know what's going to happen in the next episode. But even with the way that they discuss Tantis and how to even get there, this I feel like this is so freaking complicated that it nothing can come easy. There's no easy way. Again, they've shown several times in this season that they failed and failed again until they were actually able to do something. Not just like, oh, let's use a Jedi trick to get past the droids or whatever. Like, no, they have to like fuck up, screw up, and continue and try find another way. So I don't think that's gonna happen. But what's it called? Why don't you guys let us know in the comments? In this YouTube video or whatever on the podcast. Yes, comment down below and subscribe. But let us know what you think. Do you actually think they're gearing up to that? Do you think it's just going to end? Like what is going to happen? Because again, this is going to
Now,
be an
like,
end
I mean,
of the Bad Batch.
unfortunately, like I said before, I really do think we could see something like that.
Mm,
And again, I mean, we kind of talked about this earlier, just with the fact that, like, obviously, this is Disney Star Wars, and they tend to go in a certain direction when it comes to some of their characters and their storylines. So we could totally see, like, Omega just be like, oh yeah, watch this, and then just like connect with like a giant Zillo beast, like, without a
yeah.
problem. And unfortunately, I think it's like almost certain that we're going to see that. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be afraid to put money on it that we're going to see something like that. And then, like, I'm going to text you and be like, see, I fucking told you.
Yeah,
It's
you
like,
heard it here, folks. I haven't heard anybody else talk about this theory. So if this is right and I called it, Disney, you better hire me because I could just literally give you every freaking possibility, weird twist in a show possible. But you know what? Let you guys think about it. Enough on that. Let's jump into the episode, shall we?
yeah, I think we shall.
All right. Why don't you kick us off? Because my throat is a little famished.
Sure. Oh, yeah, sure. Well, you haven't talked in a while, so that's why.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't talked in a while. I might get myself a cup of water real quick.
Yeah.
Excuse
Okay.
me.
Cool. Excellent.
Excuse
So
me.
yeah, so while he's doing that, he's just gonna roll off into the distance. Okay, he's just gonna. Okay. Yeah. So while he's doing that, we're basically just going to. Well, I mean, I'm gonna talk about how I like the episode. So obviously, we're talking about episode 14 of season 3 of the Bad Batch. If you didn't already know, and I am going to rate it. I think a solid 10 out of 10 suns. I mean, I thought it was a pretty good episode. Um, there were some things that like I wish they did differently, but like not where like it warranted like taking off a point. But I thought it was really well done. I mean, I thought it was nice to finally see the Bad Batch arrive on Mount Tantiss. I think really showing their journey and how much they struggled like to get the information like to Tantiss like throughout the whole season just showed like how secretive and like how complicated it was. Um, and I thought it was really good. I mean, everything from them like detaching from the scientific vessel to crash landing in the jungle, to kind of getting in those skirmishes and everything. And I thought it was really good. So yeah, I mean, I would give it a 10 out of 10 suns.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with my brother for sure. I really feel like this episode was a. I mean, again, I think Star Wars animation in a whole does have a very serious tone to it, but I feel like this episode really took it up a notch. I mean, simply for the stakes that like are being done here, and especially going through and finding out how the hell they even have to try to get to Tantis. And with them like not destroying their armor, but pretty much getting rid of like whatever made them actually quote unquote unique on the outside, was it actually was a pretty sad part to me because I actually looked away for a second. I'm like, why the hell are they erasing their things? Like at first I thought they were adding something, but I was like, oh damn, like, and then they actually look really cool. Like their designs are really cool. I really like that. Like that's a prime Lego set right there. Like Lego, if you don't make, sorry for the tangent, if you don't make sets out of this season, I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm gonna go up to your headquarters in like the Netherlands or what Sweden or one of those weird places. Not weird. I'm sure it's cool.
I think it was Denmark.
Denmark. Yeah, I'm gonna go up to you guys and shove a Lego brick in your mouth. Just kidding. I wouldn't do that. Please hire me.
I think if anything, I
Um,
think it's interesting to see like I think it's interesting to see like the loss of like individuality like
mhm.
with their armor over the seasons. Like we see like their traditional like this is like Clone Force 99 armor. Then we see like season two. They kind of get a little brighter. They start to kind of like modify their armor like depending on like who's wearing it. And then like in season three, we kind of see like a meshing of the two, and then now we just officially see like a all black. Like they kind of lost all individuality and like everything style towards the end. And I mean, I might be onto something, but that might represent like their journey,
I mean, they pretty
or
much
like that might
lost
represent like
everything. They lost first. They lost their home. Then they lost pretty much most of their brothers. Then you lost one of
then they
your
lost their ship.
closest brothers, and then you lost your ship, and then you lost your second home. I mean, I guess it might still be there. You lost hope, and now you're where you need to be, and who knows how you're gonna walk out of there if you're gonna walk out of there. Again, like Hunter and everybody has been foreshadowing. It really makes me think Crosshair is going somewhere. I mean, the fact in character development that we've seen from him alone, opening up so much about Tantiss, even though it's not like crazy, like going through his horror stories, but foreshadowing it so much and talking about it so much is just insane to me. Like they've really done so well. Like I don't know if anybody else really thinks about it the way I think about it, or maybe I'm more of a fan. But I just really feel like this reminds me a lot of like that great Clone Wars episodes that and seasons that we've gotten in the past. That like they can still do it if they wanted to, and I feel like this show proves it.
Yeah, no, I mean 100%. I mean, obviously Dave Filoni is like not at the forefront of like actually directing these episodes, but like I mean, the Bad Batch was his creation, so like you have to assume that like these episodes are being like ran by him before they're finally put into production.
I
So I
feel like
mean,
he's the writer
I
of
think
those
they've done a phenomenal
episodes.
job. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if like next week for the finale, like we saw that like Dave Filoni's name everywhere. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he directed it, if he wrote it, if he produced it, like if he did everything. Because you would think
Yeah,
like
I
this
mean
is
he's
his
the
show. Like
creator
you
of
would
it,
want
so he came up with this whole idea.
yeah, exactly. You think he would want to end it like on his note, right? And like kind of go out the way he wanted. So, but yeah, I mean, I thought it was I thought it was really good. I mean, do you want to get into specifics? I mean, what were some things that you took away from the episode?
Well, I gotta say, I did really enjoy seeing Echo again. And I feel like he played
I
a
feel like he's
huge
very
part.
underrated. Like I feel
Yeah,
like he's not as appreciated as he should be.
he's really not because like I feel like everybody says like oh like we still love Echo, but I really feel like they haven't showcased him as much as they have done recently. Like we always knew he was like good at what he does, and like he's been used as the quote unquote droid, but like him being the center of like getting them pretty much on that ship undetected, getting like even the simple things as getting a new hand, like I thought was a funny little thing. Talking
Yeah,
to Emery about his brothers and stuff and why he's here to do that. Obviously a lot of Rex energy right there because that's where he spends most of his time. But also he's really good in his stealth and obviously even still fighting and everything, but he really was like a good part that I really enjoyed still seeing, and foreshadowing and showing a lot more. Um, what's it called? I mean, I'm obviously like loving Hunter this whole season too, and everything. And I feel like as he gets closer and closer, and when they got to Tantus and everything, he's pretty much like eyes forward. I don't care. Like it's happening. We're getting it out, whether we die or not. And again, like Crosshair and Wrecker are both following him. And I'm sure Echo's doing the same. I mean, obviously he definitely wants to get his brothers out too, like fully, and I know the rest of them care about that. And I'm curious to see where it goes with that. But what I love is that we're seeing more, um, again from scratch creativity of like that you have to come up with these things on the fly. You have this plan, it may not work. Again, they had to get another ship. Oh, these codes had it. Admiral Rampart was like, no, these codes won't work. No, this has to bounce off of this, and these aren't even transported. until this, and it's not even in that, it's in the Navi computer. So how the hell are we going to figure that? It's such a complicated thing. This whole episode was very complicated on just getting to where they needed to be, forget being there and actually getting through it. So, and it also shows, like, the more and more I was thinking about it and watching it, that this show, and the Clone Wars did it too, but since this is post Clone Wars, this shows how brutal the Empire is. Not only taking the kids and hiring bounty hunters to take the kids, but obviously holding kids prisoner, making them do these things, not giving them any sorts of freedom and stuff, all these weird secrets, experimenting obviously on animals and the beasts and stuff like that, using the clones against each other. I mean, we all knew that the Empire was bad, but I feel like when we go into, especially the scientific aspect of the Empire, man, they do some crazy stuff in there.
I think what they also did pretty subtly, to be honest, was like I don't know if you noticed, but as the season went on, they just slowly started to like show like less and less clone troopers, and like now all you see are like
Yeah.
I guess like phase one stormtroopers. The
I
only
only
clone,
see the
the only
clone commandos. I have not seen a regular clone trooper armor.
the last
Not
time we
one.
saw one was the episode where Captain Rex and Commander Wolf met up again,
Yeah.
and that was
So
like what, like 4 or 5 episodes ago.
like there might, like, Tantis really might not have any clones left besides the commandos. They might have just gotten rid of their prisoners. Who
Of,
knows?
of course, they have the ones like in captivity, the ones
Yeah.
that they're experimenting on. But like, as far as like their armed forces go, like, and did you notice that like the Clone War style fighters like were making the Tie Fighter sounds?
Yeah.
And like,
And
I wonder if they just happened to make the same sound, or if like they just, you
no,
know,
I don't think they did.
I wonder if they just like forgot. They were just like, oh shit, those aren't Tie Fighters. You know what I
But
mean?
again, you can just tell, even like, even with, like, again, maybe I'm thinking like too hard on it, but certain shots I feel like are becoming a lot more darker, a lot more
Yeah,
grayer.
yeah. 'Cause, like
You
everything,
know?
yeah, exactly, yeah. Because everything's just all gray, like all the paint and the colors
Yeah,
stripped,
no
like it's all just.
colors.
Yeah, no, I mean I've totally noticed that too. I mean that is just typical. Like you're starting to really get into like
Yeah,
all like everybody's uniform. Like everybody is just one. Like there is no like individuality. Like we all are the Empire mentality, where you still have the gunships being used. You still have like Clone Wars era things being used. And I mean I talked about this in a couple of the other episodes. How you still have these vehicles and these fighters and these ships still being used, but they're just stripped of like all color and all individuality, and like they're slowly being changed out. I mean, we haven't seen any like Imperial era vehicles or fighters yet, but I mean, obviously we know it's coming, but we still see that it's still pretty recent enough from the end of the Clone Wars that they're still using Clone Wars era things.
yeah. Like even like the episode with the clone turbo tanks, it was just all gray and black. And with the gunships, they used to have the designs on it. They used to paint the things. You would see it in the episodes. You would see it in the movies. Nothing now. Obviously, there's no freedom in that. And what the Empire, excuse me, does, and everything, and even seeing, like, the little shot of the prison camp. Obviously, not this episode, but the other episode before. But I just really feel like, again, that, like, how I would describe this episode is high stakes. I mean, I even love the little parts where it's something as simple as like them having to keep control of Admiral Rampart, and everything, and not having him, go give away their stuff and everything, because he just, he wants to be free. He doesn't care. And how this is so important to the clones, but they could have killed him. They could have gotten rid of him and everything until they got,
Yeah, how do you feel that they brought him back? Like, were you surprised that they brought him back like in the show?
Not really. I mean, I really didn't, like, I wasn't like yay, but I was like, okay, it makes sense, like, because I guess he would be a character that would know, and obviously was able to help a little bit. Was hoping maybe like a Cody or something, something that I actually wanted to see. And maybe we'll still see him, but I have no idea. Um, but I don't know. Maybe he'll pull a what's his name, from Rebels. You know how
Oh
he
yeah, the are you talking about the what Agent Callus?
yeah, yeah. Maybe he'll pull that. Maybe he'll help him in the end. Maybe
Yeah,
they'll
well, I mean,
have
we
to.
saw that he was like captured by stormtroopers in the episodes. We know that he gets captured.
Yeah, I just wonder if he's going to play a future part or if he's just done for now. I enjoyed the little scene that they had with that creature, that weird bear sloth alien looking creature. It was cool it's cool to see the Bad Batch fight things without weapons and like not die. Like it's just and Hunter defending it with a knife,
Yeah,
Crosshair
especially when
hitting
like
it.
especially when like Wrecker just like jumps on the thing's back and like just starts like wrestling it.
Yeah, like I love that because
How
again,
do
it's
you,
it's
how do you, how do you feel about his character? Because like I've heard arguments that like people like are saying that he's become more of like the comedic relief of the show, and like he's actually not living up to like what his specialty is. Like I mean, obviously he's a demolitions expert, and we don't
I
really
mean,
see him use
realistically, with the
much.
way the season's been going, he really can't do much demolition. And we've seen good old Wrecker, and he's always been a comedic relief, but honestly, he's been so much more serious since the first episodes where he had to convince Hunter that his plans weren't going to work because they probably wouldn't have made it out.
Yeah,
Again, he was doing his Wrecker
especially
thing, taking on
especially when
crocodiles, flipping them, throwing them, and in
yeah.
this, still attacking a giant weird alien bear by just jumping on it with no regards to anything else. He's still
I mean,
even
especially when like him and Crosshair are having that little conversation like before they meet back up with Hunter and Rampart, like
yeah.
about like coming back for like Omega and like coming to Mount Tantiss and like you know so we could tell that he gets like serious at certain points. And I mean, I agree. I mean, like you said, they're not really using demolitions or explosives for much anyway. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously he
unfortunately they
used his
can't,
talent like in
but
the yeah, I mean, he used his talent in that episode with the bounty hunter and the crocodiles, like when they were disarming the mines, because that would make sense for him as an explosives
yeah.
expert. But again, like not all of these attributes that they're good at are going to be like shown in full force like every episode.
Yeah, like I would argue like realistically Hunter's abilities are not necessarily like fully shown. They're kind of more in the background because he's overall just like this Rambo sort of character, so it feels natural. Even Crosshair in this, the in the episode he had that shot where it bounced off the walls and stuff, and I was like, oh, that's Crosshair and stuff. But it's not like because we know what they're good at, so you don't need to have like. It was like when they were introduced in the Clone Wars, pretty much their whole episode, you were like, this guy is the shooter. This guy fucks things up with his hands. This guy is the Rambo. This guy is the smart guy. Now they're pretty much they can't focus on their individuality for the overall goal. You know what I'm saying? Like it's still shown, but
Yeah.
they can't show it in the full force. And like again, I don't agree if people are saying that Wrecker's this sort of character. He's always been comedic and stuff, but he's been how he should be realistically. Same with the rest of them. I think again the clones, Bad Batch, Clone Force 99 has had great development. I really feel like every single member that's still around has grown significantly. Again, you've seen the change in Crosshair. You've seen, Hunter's kind of always been how he is, but even then, we've seen a little bit in him. Wrecker totally, and what's it called? Echo. Again, like is always pretty stagnant on how he is, but you can still see the change there. And that's what I think has been great about this season because it's focused a lot on that. Season two was a lot more on adventures and kind of showcasing these certain things and playing more into the Empire. Like, no, this is about Omega and the Clone Force 99 in this season, especially probably those last two episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are getting caught up on because you have some people that are like probably I mean again because you always have two sides to the same story, right? And there are definitely people that are probably thinking that this is kind of boring or it's not really interesting, and it's like I hate to throw my boss out there, but I mean I'm sorry I gotta do this to you, but like I asked him if he was like keeping up with the Bad Batch and stuff because we would talk about it, and he was like, oh, he's like, I really haven't felt the need or the urge to like watch it. So it's like you have those Star Wars fans out there that are like, probably just upset or like, dissatisfied with like, certain things about the show. And they're just like, like, I don't really want to watch it anymore. But it's like, when it comes to that, it's like, I don't understand what they are looking for.
Mm,
It's like, there were some things about the Bad Batch as a whole. I mean, I'm sure we're going to do an episode later on about the Bad Batch as a whole, right? Like once the show ends.
yeah.
But we see how the show transitions, right? And we see, it goes from season one, where it's a little bit more episodic, from like, the end of the Clone Wars to the rise of the Galactic Empire. Then we see season two is kind of where they start to mesh both together, right? You still have those episodic episodes, but they're starting to weave some sort of like story, right? And they're weaving the story of like, the retirement like of the clone troopers, and like getting rid of the clone troopers. And when you think about it now, I mean, obviously they're setting up the story for season three.
Yeah,
Because I mean, again, like season two was about like retiring the clone troopers, getting rid of the Grand Army of the Republic, replacing them with stormtroopers, and in turn, by doing this, they're allowing these clone troopers to be used as like experiments. So that is how they transition. I mean, and again, like obviously this brings the Bad Batch back into play, because now they hear that like what's going on with the clone troopers and everything, and it drags them back into the larger conflict. And then that trickles perfectly over to season three, where again, like you have the main focal point being there's this secret base called Mount Tantiss, and they're doing experiments on the clones, and eventually Omega as well, and this has to be stopped. So it's like I don't really know what people are looking for anymore. I mean, like, I think it's been a fantastic story. I mean, this whole season has been very story driven. There really haven't been too many episodic episodes, or if there were, it always dealt with the story.
hmm
So it's been very linear. And I mean, I don't see a problem with them showing up to Mount Tantus like in this episode, like to episode 14, because again, it just goes to show like how secretive this base is. I mean, what's the fun, to be honest, in just getting to Mount Tantus like in episode 5?
yeah. And
I mean,
realistically, you need to
what are you gonna
show its
write? What are you
arc.
gonna write the rest of the time? I mean, you
Yeah,
got to understand that like this is a very secretive. I mean, nobody knows about this in the general public except for like high-ranking Imperial officials.
and most of the Empire doesn't even know.
Exactly. It's like I mean the clone troopers that are still in service to the Empire, like Commander Wolf, don't even know that
Yeah.
these experiments are going on. So it's like it makes sense why it would be such a struggle for them to like figure out where this base is. You
hmm
know what I mean? I think they did it perfectly. I mean, they tried to explore a bunch of different avenues, and they got loose end after loose end after loose end, and it's a way to tie in some of these side characters like Fennec Shan and Asajj Ventress and Admiral Rampart, um, to kind of
A big
tie it
one.
back to the original story. I mean, I thought the storytelling has been really good this season. And I mean, I'm really excited to see how it's all going to end.
I feel like it's been very well planned out. Like that again, I feel like a lot of people, maybe with Star Wars shows or just shows in general, they get too bored quickly or they want that easy way because they want to see what happens. It's like no, like you need to show like how something develops over time and stuff. And again, I want them to take their time and this show to be longer. I really wish this season was longer. Do I think it's like kind of the perfect amount of episodes? I do. Do I wish there was more? Of course I do. Again, I don't know what the final is going to say or how this story is going to leave off. But realistically, this is a very complicated time in the story of Star Wars. I mean, realistically, you're having a completely new empire and force and army and political system and scientific and this whole universe, galaxy, whatever the hell you want to call it, is transitioning to a new way of life. And like I think Star Wars fans have to take that into consideration. Like it's not just easy. Like even though they've shown it, this is over a period of years that these troops were phased out that made up what was once happened, how the politics of it changed. You saw the politics in season 2 and you see season 3 how completely different it is. You see the way of just the atmosphere and stuff, like simple things like that. I feel like people got to realize are very important and small and I think large details to take into consideration. Again, when I think of the Empire, I think of dark gray, black stormtroopers, Darth Vader, blah blah blah. That's and what is happening now? We're seeing dark gray, black. I mean, we haven't seen Darth Vader or whatever, but we saw the Emperor. We've been seeing the transition of the stormtroopers again. In the beginning of the season, it was half stormtroopers, half clone troopers. Now it's pretty much no clones besides the commandos. So it's again, this episode there's not too much to talk about. because pretty much what it was is them getting the Tantiss and showing a little bit about Omega and kind of giving more on her and how she's going to try to escape with the rest of the kids that have the high M counts. And it was really just prepping us for the next two episodes. The next two episodes are probably going to be definitely heavy action, definitely heavy story, maybe some crying. I don't know what's going to happen. We don't know. It's the finale. It's the finale not only of this season, but it's the finale of the Bad Batch. So
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if they pull on the heartstrings. I mean, I guess we can ask the question here, how is this going to end? Is there going to be a clone rebellion? Are we going to see the Bad Batch die? Are we going to see a happy ending? Are we going to see even some random ass character come in there still? Like, what are the possibilities? Like, what do you think we're expecting next Wednesday or Tuesday, whenever it comes out?
Yeah. Great question.
I
It's
mean, what do you think? Again, like I have a lot of ideas in
what
mind,
I
but like,
think. Um, I think that obviously they're already hinting at the fact that they're going to be using the Zilla Beast as a way to escape, right? So
mhm,
we could assume that there's going to be some like epic breakout scene with the Zilla Beast, and it's probably going to be attacking Mount Tantiss, and it's going to be like the distraction that the Bad Batch needs and whatever. Um, Honestly, how I would like it to end is that it sounds sadistic when I say it, so don't take it as such. But people have to die,
yeah,
right? I mean, you cannot afford a happy ending with the show because then you're bringing up too many loose ends,
yeah,
right?
it's
Because it's
too
like if
easy.
they all escape, right, in a perfect world, if they all escape and everybody lives happily ever after, where the fuck were they during the original trilogy? And better yet, if any of them survived, where were they during the sequel trilogy?
Yeah,
So unfortunately, you can't leave these loose ends because Star Wars fans like me and you are going to be asking those questions.
yeah,
So unfortunately, some people are going to have to die, right? Um, as to who is going to die, I couldn't tell you to be honest because right off the bat, I want to say I think Echo should die. I think it would be very poetic for his story to end in death because you can kind of argue he cheated death once, but then he was brought back. He was given a new purpose, and what better
mhm.
way to sacrifice yourself by saving the people that gave you purpose, gave you life back, and being able to use that life that you got back to help them out? I mean, I
I
think that
mean,
would be a cool end to the story.
imagine a scene similar to when they were the first time when he died, when they were escaping the Citadel, that he holds, off opening the doors or sealing the doors for the Bad Batch to, leave.
Yeah,
How poetic would that be? I swear to God, if I call it with what I've said in this episode so far, Dave Filoni better personally email me or like
I mean,
shoot me a
and
DM on Instagram.
honestly, I could see Wrecker dying.
I could see
I,
Crosshair dying
I could
too.
see I could see Hunter dying. I could see both of them dying to protect Omega and save Omega. I could see
Yeah.
Crosshair surviving though, actually, because I think that will be his character arc like come full circle, right?
Mm.
Like if him and Omega are the ones to like survive and escape, I would just be interested to see what they would do with that. Because obviously
Mm.
they've been working on his character development this whole entire season, so I could see a storyline where they keep him alive, and we kind of see what happens in the aftermath, or I could totally see him dying. And I could see his character arc coming full circle. And especially when he tells Admiral Rampart, like, oh, you only looked out, for yourself. Like, that's always who you've been. And Crosshair was like, I changed. And
Hmm.
if he truly did change, then I could see him putting his life on the line for Omega and the others. So I could
Yeah,
see him dying. I mean, every scenario you think of, I mean, obviously we know that, like, Rex is not going to die because we see him in Rebels. Um, but any of the other clone troopers that are still left, after that attack on their base, I mean, I could see any of them dying. If Commander Cody comes out of nowhere, obviously we don't see him in the original trilogy and the sequels, so I could see him dying. I mean, again,
yeah,
Rex has that flashback in Rebels where like he gets captured by the droids, and he like says Cody. So it's like
yeah,
they could have been in a similar situation, but maybe we're just meant to think that it was droid related, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was like them on Mount Tantiss together.
yeah,
I mean, again, Commander Wolf. Obviously, we see that he's alive in Rebels, so we know that he's not going to die. So the avenues wide open for them to do whatever they want. Um, how likely is it that we see a Darth Vader cameo? It's kind of high up there. I mean,
Like a post credit thing,
it could be a post credit thing. If it's
kind of
not a
like the
post
end of
credit
season
thing,
7 of Clone Wars.
yeah, it's just that I feel like if you're gonna show Darth Sidious and you're gonna show Emperor Palpatine, then it would make sense to show Vader. And like I said, it could be like a post credit, right? Like say, Rex and the other clones go in like in a blaze of glory, and let's say Rex misplaces his helmet, right? And Darth Vader is searching the rubble, and what does he see? He sees Rex's helmet. So it's like we could have a very similar thing to like when he sees Ahsoka's lightsaber at the end of season 7, but at the same time, do I want a scene appearance from Darth Vader? Not really. I mean, I don't think it's needed. I mean, again, if we see him in passing, cool. I mean, we know we're going to see him in Tales of the Empire, obviously, with the whole Inquisitor storyline.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think the Zillo Beast is going to be a big part of it. It's going to be like the main distraction, probably for their escape. Um, we're obviously going to see something happen with Omega and the kids. I mean, that's a guarantee. I mean, Star Wars does not have the heart to kill kids,
They
so
should.
I mean, they should, right? I mean, what better way to introduce Darth Vader to the Bad Batch by him coming in
I
and
mean,
just
they've done it with Anakin. Like seriously, like just bring him back, have Darth Vader just murk all the kids. Like that's perfect. Kidding, guys, of course, you know.
But I mean, I could totally see something happening with Omega and the kids, right? I mean, we assume the kids are going to be saved and they're going to be, probably brought back to their families, or because at this time there's really no Jedi temple, there's no like Jedi communities like out in the, galaxy. So we can see them being reunited with their families.
Hmm.
Um, Dr. Emery's story is going to end eventually, and I think she's going to die. I
I would
think she's going to
assume.
sacrifice herself for Omega. I could totally see Nala Se doing the same thing if they happen to like rescue her. I could see her as like the last Kaminoan, like putting her life on the line and like dying and officially ending the Kaminoans. Um, obviously, the I always forget the really bad doctor's name. The guy. What's his
Oh
name?
yeah, yeah,
His name is Hemlock, right? Is it Hemlock?
yeah. Director Hemlock, right?
Yeah, I can see him dying, obviously. Because why not? I mean, he's the bad guy. Obviously, the bad guys have to die. I can
Yeah,
see that's how I can see Vader coming in. I can see Vader coming in and killing him because of his failure.
yeah. Like at the end, and maybe like they end it talking about like the Death Star because I'm pretty sure people say Omegas. Apparently in Rogue One they talk about Omega, like Project Omega, something in the Death Star, like thing. Maybe that's like you said, a post scene with him and Hemlock and the Empire or something. I mean, it's totally possible. But
Yeah.
what's it called?
So I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of possibilities up in the air. I mean, again, if I'm looking at this from a practical standpoint, um, I mean, it sounds like super dark, but we're going to assume that basically all of the Bad Batch are going to die because we
Yeah,
don't see them ever again in any other Star Wars projects, whether it's original trilogy, sequel trilogy. Obviously, those were made at a different time, so I understand like why we wouldn't have saw them, right? I mean, George Lucas wasn't thinking of the Bad Batch back in the 1970s. That's not what I'm saying. But like again, fortunately, because Star Wars is such a multi generational franchise, you're gonna have those questions where people are gonna be like, "Oh, well, actually, why aren't the Bad Batch in the original trilogy? Because they were still alive." It's like, you're gonna have those fans asking those questions. I'm one of those fans that's going to ask those that question uh, because I mean, and that might be like a habit you have to shake. Like, not everything has to like line up into like one nice little storyline.
but it would be nice.
But it's kind of Disney's fault when they do that to themselves, and then you have people
Yeah,
asking questions. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I could totally see all the Bad Batch dying. I could see Omega escaping with the help of like Captain Rex and Commander Wolf and whatever clones are left. And I mean, there are theories that Omega is Rey's mom. So I mean, you
Oh,
know, if they kind of play with those theories, then maybe. But I don't know. It's just that's basically my answer. I don't know. There's just so many possibilities that could happen. And I mean, again, this is going to be the last bit of Clone Wars content we are pretty much going to get. I mean, yeah, we're going to get some snippets in Tales of the Empire, obviously, when it comes to Morgan Elsbeth, because obviously we saw General Grievous, we saw the
Mm.
Separatist invasion of Dathomir. So we're going to see like Clone War like clips, but I mean, this is the last bit of Clone Wars like TV show or movies or anything we're ever going to get. So it's interesting to see how it's going to end. I mean, I'm curious to see where they're going to go. So I mean, I give it to you. What are your thoughts? What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm in the same boat as you. Like, again, not to sound like malicious or anything, but I do hope like people die because I really feel like I don't want them to play it safe. Again, this whole season has not been playing it safe. Whether or not, like, I don't know if I want the whole Bad Batch to go out because realistically, if there's no more story with them, I'd rather them go out in a blaze of glory. Again, the cavalry has arrived, just like how you came in season 7 of Clone Wars. If you leave by saving, what you came for, then let it be that. Let Omega end up with Rex and the rest of whatever clones they saved, knowing that Bad Batch, Clone Force 99. I mean, honestly, hey, there's Clone Force 99. You know, have them end, unfortunately, like 99. 99 was a clone that sacrificed himself for something bigger, greater, and better because he believed in it. If they end like that, then, again, unfortunately, it would be so sad and, terrible to see, but that would make it, one of the best seasons in Star Wars animation, in my opinion. Again, I think the Zillo Beast will be used. I think Omega and those M Count kids are going to have a part to play in that, probably, I would assume. I am hoping to see Cody. I really am. Not sure. I'm assuming we're going to see Rex and whatever clones are left. Because, we still have Order and I think Hauser, from what I know. So we still got some clones left, and obviously I'm hoping to see a clone rebellion. Um, but other than that, it's kind of hard to say because I feel like this can go in a lot of different directions, and they haven't been clear cut about it, which I really like, and leaving it up to anticipation. Do I think it's going to be a happy ending? No, yes. I feel like there's going to be a part where we're going to be content in a way, but I feel like it's not going to come without sacrifice. Like I feel like Tech's death was, and that thing was total loss because Tech lost, the Bad Batch lost, and they lost Omega. That was heartbreaking. If
No,
they
and,
did
and I
something,
just realized that it's a good thing that you just mentioned that because I just realized that they never really explored like who that like clone assassin was that
yeah,
captured Omega.
I think they just
I
got
mean,
rid of it after.
it's a little too late. Yeah, it's a little too late in the game to like be like surprise. This was Tech
Yeah,
all
they can't
along.
do
Like
that. Just like,
I
oh
don't think
wait,
you can do that.
it's me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just way too far into the show for that. And you brought up a good point. And I was going to ask you about it, but honestly, I totally forgot. So please keep going.
Um, but yeah. I mean, again, I feel like we're gonna see. I don't know. I don't think we're gonna necessarily see the destruction of Tantis, but
Oh,
I
I
think
sorry, I forgot what I remember what I was going to say. I like what you were kind of saying about like feeling content, but I feel like because this is the end of the Bad Batch, like either I want to feel satisfied or I want to feel depressed.
yeah,
Like there's no like middle area.
there
Like I
needs
mean,
to be a
either
close.
either rip my heart out and make me like really sad, or like make me like be like okay, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, I really feel like there needs to be a close in this story. I would like Omega's story to be led up to interpretation, but I do want a close to the Bad Batch, whether or not it's happy, sad, or whatever.
Yeah,
That's what I want, because I really feel like since Omega is such a young character, if they wanted to do a show in the future, you do it. If you really brought back or a book or a comic series or whatever, and kind of like you said earlier, if we see Vader, which again I don't know, do I hope? I like Vader, so he's always welcome. If he's not there, it's okay. I'm not really banking on it. Seeing a scene with Hemlock and like a cool call to Rogue One or something. If Omega was in that, if there was a Project Omega, maybe they name a project after her. I don't know. With the Emperor, there's got to be something there, but with that being said, again, just like we just did, what if you guys want in the comments or whatever, let us know what you think is going to happen. Because we'll be back next week to pretty much talk about what happened. Whether we're sad about it, happy about it, angry about it, or whatever. But I'm excited to get into next week and get into the next episode. But that pretty much closes out our review of episode 14. Again, it wasn't a complicated episode. It was pretty straightforward in what was going on. Leading up to really what's next. I guess we'll head out our closing statements here, and then we'll bid you guys adieu. Adieu.
Yeah, no, I mean, overall, I mean, like I said, it was pretty much like a straight lead up episode, basically setting everything up for the final two, or I guess just the final episode of the series. Like I said, pretty straightforward. I mean, there wasn't, again, what I've noticed about these last couple episodes is that it's not very in depth, where it's like there's a lot to stop and like make you think, and it's like, okay, that was a positive, that was a negative. It was just kind of like an episode, like it
Mhm.
was just either good or bad. There wasn't really like any specifics to go along with it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this is pretty much it, guys. I mean, we got one more episode, and then we can say goodbye to the Bad Batch forever. So we'll probably end up doing another episode about the Bad Batch as a whole. Just kind of like officially ranking the show, and just kind of talking about what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it, obviously how it ended. So definitely expect a lot more Star Wars content to come out your way. Something I want to start implementing with the podcast, we've been doing it the last couple of weeks, but I want to start releasing the episodes on Mondays instead of releasing them on Fridays. Just because the way I see it, like Friday is like the end of the week,
Yeah,
right? So
I'm cool with
maybe
that.
not you're going to be like watching, a podcast or anything like towards the end of the week. So you
Hmm.
figure, you release it like, and I looked like analytic wise, and they say like, at least for YouTube, like they say releasing it like later in the afternoon, like anywhere from like 2 to 6 is like prime time. I
Hmm.
mean, I don't think it really matters when you release it on Spotify, but having something to watch like on Monday, to kind of get you through the whole entire week, especially if it's like a longer episode like today, just seems like a better move. So, I mean, obviously, if you guys enjoy that, let us know. But after we finish wrapping up here, we'll probably set both the episodes to release this upcoming Monday. So you'll be able to start off your week with the Bad Batch, and then and then we'll be back with another episode next week. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I have to say. So thank you guys for coming out to another wonderful episode of Two Sons Podcast, where we talked about the Bad Batch, more specifically episode 14 of season 3 of the Bad Batch. So like I said, can't believe there's only one more episode left. It's been a crazy ride. I mean, I we started our YouTube channel on the Bad Batch, so it's kind of like bittersweet. That just goes to show, like, how long the Bad Batch has been out and everything. And yeah, I mean, it's been quite a ride. So I'm gonna leave it to you to end out our episode for us. And yeah,
Alrighty there. Again, once again, guys, thank you for coming out to another episode of Two Sons Podcast. I'm glad we're back together and glad we're doing this for you guys again. One more episode to go, and it's been a great season. I'm glad we're able to do this little mini series for you guys, and we'll continue to do that with other shows and movies or whatever in the future. And again, if you guys have not checked out this season or any season of the Bad Batch, highly, highly, highly recommend, especially for every Star Wars fan, or just casual fan of any sort of cool stuff, because this is cool. But other than that, guys, thank you for coming out to another episode of Two Sons Podcast. Once again, we already went over everything, so go back in the beginning of the video and go look at it for yourselves. But other than that, we'll release this episode on Monday for you guys. Let you have a nice weekend to yourself, and join us back in the beginning of the week. And next week we'll be back to go over what happened and see if any of our predictions are right. If you have any predictions, I will put a little post up in the comments basically saying, do you think this will happen, and give you some list and see if any of you guys agree with us or have your own opinion as well. Just leave a comment. Anything's always welcome, even the nasty ones like that guy in the beginning of the episode. No, no, no. I mean, you shouldn't do that. You should be nice, but you felt important enough to click on our podcast, so it's cool. It's cool. You're welcome if you want. But
we're
other than
all,
that,
we're
guys,
all, we're all
thank you
about
for coming
love
in.
and positivity.
Exactly, exactly. That's what matters. That's what matters. But thank you again, guys, for coming out to another episode of Two Sons Podcast. And have a great evening. Have a great night. Have a good day. Have a good afternoon. Have a good, be safe. Good luck with your finals, tests, quizzes. Anybody that's ending school right now, good luck with all that stuff. Good luck with life. Good luck with jobs, and just overall, have a great time. Goodbye, guys.